If you've traveled anywhere around the world, you probably have some cities or some places that you really like. And if you're anything like me, you might have said, I'd like to live there. But not so fast. I'm going to talk about a new concept I want you to keep in mind for your nomad capitalist lifestyle in this video. Hey, I'm Andrew Henderson, and this is something that if you have been traveling around the world and you've been open-minded for places where you might want to live, you've probably been in this situation. You go somewhere for a couple days, you're walking around, you're feeling that high, that newness, you love it, you're soaking it all in. I wonder if we could live here. And what's funny is I've been doing that for 12 years, and as you kind of dig into some of these places, you find out, I don't necessarily want to live there. I remember growing up, I dreamed of living in New York City. And then when I was about 16 years old, I really got into the international focus. And I said, how about London? I kind of like London. Then when I was really young as an adult and running a business, I went to Hong Kong. Oh my God, Hong Kong was like better than all of them combined. I loved Hong Kong. And so I want to encourage you to dream. I think dreaming is important. It's what makes this fun. I can tell you, 100 countries later, it's not quite as fun going to a new place as it was going to Hong Kong and having that just amazing sensation. Everything is so new. I want you to dream, but obviously here at Nomad Capitalist, we talk about action. And what we know is the New Yorks, the Londons, they may not be the best places to live. You might get bored there, you might get sick of the culture, the taxes might be too high, the weather's not so great, for whatever reason it may not work for you. And when you add in that nomad capitalist element of wanting to go where you're treated best, you quickly realize New York, while nice, is really, it's not the best in anything. I mean, the subway system is crumbling. Every New Yorker I talk to tells me we're frustrated here. This ain't the best. This isn't first world. So I want to introduce the concept of the focus city. I remember I used to be an airline geek. I would collect all my miles. I had the highest status back then on United Airlines and the Star Alliance, and I was really obsessed with learning airline terminology. And one of the things that airlines talk about, it seems like I've heard them talk about more in the past, is the focus city. So they've got their hubs. They've got, for United Airlines, for example, it'll be San Francisco, it'll be Newark, it'll be Houston, right? I mean, for British Airways, it's Heathrow. I mean, every airline has their hubs. But then they might have other cities that are what's called focus cities, where they offer a certain amount of service to. It's a bit, more significant. This concept may be somewhat fading out in the airline industry because of the rise of low-cost carriers that do a lot of point-to-point service, but the concept remains the same. Not a hub, but not just any old place. What the focus city really is it's a hat tip to places that you like, but they're not enough for you to commit to. And I think that's really an important thing to understand when you're trying to figure out what your life looks like, whether you want one base, whether you want my trifecta approach, whether you're like one gentleman that I was working with recently who wants 6 bases, 2 months a year each. Whatever your lifestyle strategy is, I think you have to understand yourself. You have to be self-aware. My grandparents, growing up, lived in a part of rural Ohio, but they loved the big city. They would come to the big city of Cleveland. They would go to the theater. They'd go to the best restaurant. My parents once went to the same restaurant by happenstance, and my father ran into his father, and his father's like, why are you guys dressed like slobs? We're here in this nice restaurant. I'm wearing a suit. And for them, it was a big production. They lived in a small town, and when they came up to the big city, they made it a big to-do, and they knew their way around the big city, but it wasn't the place for them. The focus city is middle ground. It's a place where you like, but whether you simply know you couldn't tolerate it, as in, I liked going to New York countless times, but I think I would be frustrated living there. Then you add on the nomad capitalist element of, oh, you mean there's like a state income tax and a city income tax, and I got to pay this and I got to pay that, and I'll have like $7 left at the end of making $1 million a year? Yeah, no, thank you. What I want you to consider is, what's your everyday lifestyle? And again, obviously in our situation, it may be one home and maybe multiple hubs or bases, as we say. But the focus city, for me, for example, could be Singapore. I've chosen that I like living in Kuala Lumpur. In Asia, that is my place. Now, is it cheaper than Singapore? Absolutely. Is that part of my decision? Yes. However, if money were not an object, I would still live in Kuala Lumpur because I like the excitement. I like that there's lots to do in the country. I like it. It's more laid back. People are just really pleasant. There's not that kind of expat business aura of like bankers running around talking about M&A deals. I just don't want to deal with, I don't really want that. But I love going to Singapore. I love Singapore. Not only do I have financial ties there, but if I'm in KL, I get on a flight, it's 50 minutes. I go to Singapore, I have a weekend, I stay in a nice hotel, and I go out and I enjoy the city. And every time I go, I love it. And when I leave, it's like I'm almost a little sad to leave. Except I know I'm going back to another place that I love, but I'm almost a little sad to leave. But if you put me in Singapore for a month, I would be pulling my hair out. I really would, because there's just so many little things I just, I don't quite want to deal with. It's a lovely place, lovely people, but it's not exactly what I'm looking for. I just love it in that dose. And if you said, hey, Andrew, show me around Chinatown in Singapore, I could. Or, hey, what's in the central business district? Where's that bank or where's that bank? I could take you there blindfolded. I could tell you about some of the best restaurants. I could tell you where to get a nice gin and tonic. So I know the city. That's what makes it a focus city. I'm not going there as a tourist anymore. I know my way around. And I think eventually you kind of explore, different areas, right? If you just only go to the central business district, you're a business traveler. But if you've been around and you kind of know the vibe of the city, if you know some of the cultural things, if you know how people think to a certain extent, if you know that, that's what makes it a focus city. I think having that information, having that ability to go to those places is really nice. In my summers, I spend some time in Montenegro. Belgrade is a focus city for me. I like it. I've explored it. I can tell you again, after a week or so there, I'm gonna get a little frustrated of walking in and being shouted at for something. I can just gets annoying. But I love going there. And so I respect it for what it is. And I respect that there's, in the Nomad Capitalist, lifestyle, there are different things that you can, there are different ways you can categorize things. It's not totally binary. It's not, I just have one place I want to live. It's, I live here in the summer, here in the winter, or I have 3 places and I move when I get sick of them. And oh, by the way, when I'm in Asia, I also like this place, but it's not good enough for me to want to live there. So really, those places where you're comfortable, the places where you enjoy the pop-in, the places where you enjoy, perhaps it's, I'm living in a place that I really love and that feels like me, but once a month I want the theater, or once a month I want something that can't be provided here. For me, even London is becoming a bit of a focus city. Sometimes I just want to go and just, native English speakers, people who, get a certain sense of humor that, I can't do in Malaysia. You can't, joke with the waiter, who, is a really nice guy from Bangladesh and he speaks very good English, but there's none of that dry humor. Sometimes I just want to go to London. Do I want to live in London? Not particularly. So understanding that element, understanding that there is a middle ground between being a tourist and having a home base, and respecting that focus city approach is, I think, one that will really help you define your lifestyle plans. Hi, I'm Andrew Henderson from Nomad Capitalist. I wrote this book, which you can find on Amazon, to distill a lot of the stuff we talk about in these videos and a lot of the stuff I've learned over the last decade plus traveling all around the world, teaching you about how to legally reduce your taxes, build your personal freedom, and create wealth faster. Definitely get a copy of this book if you want to learn more. Now, if you want to watch more videos, make sure you subscribe to our channel and make sure you click the notifications bell so you never miss one of our new videos with more tips on how to go where you're treated best. And if you're already a 6- or 7-figure entrepreneur and you'd like to put these strategies in place for yourself, go to nomadcapitalist.com and learn about how I can help you.